What's a coincidence that you think about a lot? I'll go first. I think a lot about how.
Okay, so I'm going to preface this with trigger warning disturbing content because this might be one of the scariest things you will ever hear. Okay? Um I'm going to do this as best I can, as calmly as I can. So be patient with me. I'm extremely traumatized. I also want to point out that this is just, these are the facts. This is what happened. And if for any reason this disturbs you and you need to like message me or something, you are more than welcome to. Paranormal help, support, and astrology. Okay. So when I was young, um, my brother would scare me with stories of possession. He would scare me stories of possession, and he would scare me with what's called a devil mask. And my mom would always get so upset with him because I grew up spiritual and we knew that there were darker entities on the other side. We were taught how to combat them, and we were taught how to basically deal with them. And we knew that if we kept our vibration high and we believed in trust in the Lord and God and our higher power, everything would be fine and we didn't have to worry about it. So that growing up that way helped me understand that being very spiritual helped me understand that there's more to this life that we don't know. Okay. All right. And so my father's side, he grew up in a very abusive environment. His parents would fight constantly, and they were it was a domestic violence situation. They were drunks. And my father came from a very abusive, broken household. Okay. And I never met my grandmother because she was wicked and crazy. All right. She tried to unalive my mom, and just like she would like write sigils on our doors, and like she's scary. Okay. You have to understand, I grew up spiritual. Okay. Like my great grandmother and my father's side, everybody in my family spiritual. Okay. And so she would write sigils on our door and try to curse us and say mean things. And we just were never allowed to meet her. This was my father's side. She eventually died of cirrhosis of the liver. Her husband, I did meet my great grandfather before he passed away. Not my great grandfather, my grandfather of my dad's side before he passed away. Every single time I saw him, okay, I thought he was a really nice guy. I thought he was like cool and everything, but he never liked us kids. He didn't really want anything to do with the kids. He always just wanted to talk to my parents. And according to my mom, he was abusive. He wasn't a very nice guy. He said a lot of, he was kind of like a troublemaker, would start drama and stuff. And every single time I saw him, he would wink at me. And I always didn't understand that. And I asked my parents one day, why does Grandpa West wink at me? And they'd say, oh, that's just what he does. He's always done that. Um, Now, he passed away when I was about 8 or 9. He died of cirrhosis of the liver as well. They had twins, which was my dad and my dad was fraternal twins, so he had a sister. Okay, and the sister, she passed away of cirrhosis of the liver as well. Every single time I saw her, she would also wink at me. My mom would tell me not to trust my aunt, which was my dad's sister. She'd say, I don't trust her. I don't think she's good. I think she has negative energy around her. I don't want you to be alone with her. There was a rumor that she had touched her kids in like inappropriate ways. And so I grew up knowing that, like, no, not cool. Like, not a good thing. And so, but she always winked at me as well. As I grew older or whatever, I met a psychopath, and I didn't know he was a psychopath, okay? I grew up in an abusive household, couldn't see red flags, okay? One night, he also was an alcoholic, okay? And he went to sleep and he woke up and he said, I'm going to enjoy using your husband's body to unalive you. And then he came after me with brutality and force like you'd never see, okay? Like scary, scary murder show stuff, horrific horror film stuff. Spoke of Satan and demons and things that are found in the Goetica and things that are found in the Lesser Keys of Solomon. And spoke of all of these things and said, I'm going to end you. Like, you're the only one that can't see past what's going on, and I have minions everywhere, and that basically I needed to be gotten rid of because I was the catalyst in the plan, and that I would be the reason why things wouldn't come to be, and that they were hell-bent on getting rid of me, okay? And all the while I was basically unalived, okay? He plastic bag over my head and wrestling knives and all this. I can't really get into my trauma. I don't really want to, okay? But I have recurring nightmares of being in a box, okay? And like a trunk, okay? Anyways, regardless, I seriously, all the while this was happening, and while they were like, he was speaking as though he was a demon and talking about all these things and stuff, he was winking at me while he was trying to unalive me and was touching himself. And I didn't understand why he would wink at me. I thought that that was just weird. Like, the only persons who ever winked at me, like, were in my family, were people that my parents would say, they're not really great people. Okay? And he winked at me. So, I heal from all of this to a degree. I'm attacked again, and then I go into a psychosis. The reason I went into a psychosis was I didn't want to go to sleep because I was fearful that the psychopath was going to finish doing what he did to me, right? He's going to finish unaliving me, or he spoke, because he attacked me again and then spoke of like Satan and all those other things again. All right. And again, I lived because I'm a warrior and I fight through things. And after that attack or whatever, I went into a deep psychosis. Now, what threw me into psychosis was knowing about the paranormal and what's called transmigration. Okay. And I knew that from paranormal accounts, being a paranormal specialist, okay, that transmigration means that entities, spirits can attach to people in any shape, way, or form they want to. Okay, they can move from person to person to person. So knowing this, knowing that I had been attacked by what could have possibly been an entity, okay, this is what drove me insane. This is what drove me to voluntary. Because I literally was being winked at by everybody in my psychosis. For whatever reason, I didn't understand why, but I would look at people and they would wink at me. And I'd say, "Why are you winking at me?" And they'd say, "Oh, lighten up. I'm just playing with you." Or they'd say, "I didn't wink at you. I don't know what you're talking about." And because in my psychosis, I'd never been in a psychosis before, I thought I was losing my mind. So I recorded people. They were definitely winking at me because I would show other people. I'd say, "Yeah, they winked. What about it?" And I'm like, "That's scary. That's really scary." And they're like, "Buffy, people wink." The problem with this is that I was afraid to go to sleep. I was afraid to go to sleep because I was afraid that the psychopath who had the entity attached to him would finish me off. So I refused, okay? And I was afraid that this thing was hopping around and would hop into someone else and finish me off. So this is why I didn't go to sleep. Okay, I refused to go to sleep and I was terrified. All the while, on the last day of my psychosis, when I really had lost my mind about Satans and demons and believed I was diabolically possessed, okay, again, the EMS and everyone was winking at me in my psychosis. Do I know on the very last day if people were actually winking? I don't, because I didn't actually record them. Okay, so, but that's what it was like when they were putting me out and I thought I was going to die. And because I was under diabolical possession. It's a long story. You'd have to check my page if you want to know the details. Because during this psychosis, I had a vision that said, if I go to the hospital, I'll die. And so when I was there, I thought I was dying and people were winking at me. Now that I'm healed, and as I grow stronger, I meet people who are on the darker path. And I watch their videos. And they wink. They wink. And I meet people who are in what appears to be paranormal crisis, as if like they're experiencing what we would call a possession. And they wink. They wink. People send me the videos all the time and say, look at this. And then I notice that they wink. And to this day, if I get scared, and I don't know why, if I get scared or if I have any sort of like fear in me, people start to wink at me on the street. And so I preface this with saying that now that you know this, be careful, because if you see someone wink at you and you're scared, you could be in real danger. Have a good one.